Welcome to Newegg's DIY Garage. I'm your host, Carey Holzman. Today, I'm going to guide you through all the storage options available for you to consider if you're going to build your own computer or want to upgrade the one you currently have. In this video, we're going to focus on the differences between hard drives and solid-state drives and the varieties that exist of each, and why you might want to select one over the other to meet your specific needs. There are many things to consider when selecting the storage device for your PC, such as performance, capacity, and price, among many others. And let's talk about what those other things are, starting with the old traditional mechanical hard drive. If you have a desktop computer, chances are you have the ubiquitous 3.5-inch hard disk drive that's found in most desktop computers because it's the most cost-effective choice out there today. Now, these mechanical hard drives also come in a 2.5-inch version, which is the exact same technology that's miniaturized for laptop use. Of course, that affects capacity because we don't have as much space to work with. Now, if we take the cover off of one of these mechanical drives, and here you can see the 3.5-inch desktop drive, it has a platter that spins very similar to a record, and a needle, what we call a head, that skims very closely over the surface without touching to read the data on both sides of the platter. And some drives have multiple platters. Now, if we look at the 2.5 or laptop version, you'll see that the technology is exactly the same, just smaller or perhaps further away, depending on your perspective. Now, today, that technology is very, as I mentioned, cost effective. However, we have an even newer technology now to supplement your storage speed. However, the cost in this is a higher per gigabyte cost, but your performance is up to 5 times that of a traditional mechanical hard drive. And that's called a solid-state drive, where we have no moving parts whatsoever. The internals of a solid-state drive look like any other circuit board. When we remove the moving components, we remove a big point of failure for systems. Generally, as a computer repair technician, one of the things I change out most often are fans or hard drives, traditional mechanical hard drives that have spinning platters. When you have motion, such as the spinning platter or a spinning fan, you create friction. Friction creates heat, and the heat causes wear and ultimate failure. That's not to say that a solid-state drive won't fail. The benefits of selecting a solid-state drive over a traditional mechanical hard disk drive are that the solid-state drive consumes much less power, it's much faster, and in general, it's much more reliable. And your computer doesn't have to have anything special. Whatever drive you've got now can be swapped out for a solid-state drive. They use the same SATA connectors, so if your computer's been built within about the last 6 years, you should have that SATA connector. As impressive as solid-state drives are, we've already maxed out their interface, meaning that they can only transmit data as fast as the interface can take it. And the drives are capable of delivering data much faster, so a new interface had to be invented. And this new interface is called M.2, and within that, the Non-Volatile Memory Express, or NVMe, or as I like to call it, NVMe, because let's face it, if you have one of these drives, people are going to envy you. Such as Samsung's 950 Pro. Here's a stick of gum, and here's the Samsung 950 solid-state drive. And as you can see here, it's much smaller physically. Also, its capacity is a bit smaller, its price is a bit higher, but it's up to 4 times faster than this solid-state drive. The problem we have with the M.2 interface is that it is so new that different motherboard manufacturers have different capabilities of the M.2 interface, which means you may not be able to get the full performance out of your M.2 SSD unless you select your motherboard very carefully. Intel's creative solution to this problem is remedied with their 750 series solid-state drives. And if you take a look at this drive, you'll see it looks nothing at all like the other drives. Now, technically, this is an SSD that is NVMe PCIe. Did you get all that? Basically, what it translates into is that all motherboards have PCI Express slots. You plug your video card in them, or Wi-Fi cards, or other add-in cards. This is nothing more than an add-in card. But you don't have any of the cabling required. You don't have to hook up a power cable and a data cable like you do with a traditional hard drive. So the installation is actually a bit easier. It is very fast. In fact, you should be able to see its maximum performance regardless of which motherboard you select. And your computer doesn't need to have any special configuration for your system to recognize and utilize this drive. There's nothing special you have to do other than plug it in. Now, right about now, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, I'm confused. Didn't you just say that the Samsung 950 Pro was an NVMe drive? But then you also just said that the Intel 750 series was also an NVMe drive. but they look nothing alike. That's right, because their interfaces are different. With Samsung using the M.2 interface, you really have to do your research to pick the right motherboard to get the optimal experience from Samsung's drive, versus Intel's plug-and-play solution. Because it's PCI Express using that standard, you can fully expect to get its full performance regardless of which motherboard you have. So whether you're building a new computer or upgrading an existing one, you've never had more options for storage, for speed, capacity, and performance. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please let us know by leaving a comment below, and don't forget to click like and subscribe. For Newegg TV, I'm Carey Holzman, and I'll see you next time here on DIY Garage.